I think it's a wide open race, as you've probably gathered from what we're talking about and what you've been reading over the past week. Usually if you talk about a wide open Derby, you're talking about maybe 3 or 4 possibilities. This year I think you can make a case for 8 or 10 or maybe 12 of these horses. So I would say, if, as you handicap, if you've got a firm opinion about 1 or 2 or 3 of them, go with it, because I think those 8 or 10 or 12 are all live. Otherwise, shop around for a little bit of value. And so as I handicapped this race, I defined what I thought were the big four horses that sometime between January and now have been pointed at as being legitimate contenders for the crown here. Those are Street Sense, No Biz Like Showbiz, Curlin, and Hard Spun. I was going to take a stand against all 4 of those, but over the past week, I've shied away and kind of cottoned a little bit to Street Sense, who I think is just coming into the race just too well to ignore. Has the big win over the track last year. That, to me, was one reason I was shying away, though. That race in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile was really his only big win last year, so I thought he kind of fell into the 2-year-old Eclipse crown. But his 2 comeback races down at Tampa Bay, and then the follow-up in the Bluegrass, which I thought was a good, that was a head bob away from a win. He's been training great at Churchill. Traditionally, that's the way horses came into the Derby. They went down to Churchill, and you look for horses that worked well over the track. This year, a lot of them stayed at their home tracks or were over at Keeneland. But Street Sense has been working at Churchill Downs and doing great. So out of that big 4, I am going to include Street Sense in my mix, but I'm going to leave out No Biz Like Showbiz. All of these, I think, are capable of winning. I'm just going to take a stand against. If they beat me, so be it. But No Biz, as Kyle said, has the earplugs in. This is a horse, if they have to put cotton in his ears, obviously he's a little antsy. Well, an antsy horse with 150,000 people, that's an excuse for me to shy away. Curlin, with only the 3 lifetime starts, I think these historical trends have reasons why they've worked for 50 or 100 years. I think the Kentucky Derby Trail is very unique in American racing in that it has a kind of a starting point from the summer before and goes to that first Saturday in May, and we can compare year to year horses coming in similar manners. It's different than other races during the year in that way, and I think Curlin coming in with only the 3 starts all this year, he could be a freak. I'm going to take a stand against him, though, on the historical perspective. Hard Spun, I find very scary out of the group I'm leaving out of the mix. As Kyle said, he's got the 1 blemish on his record, which seemed to have an excuse. So, as I say, I find him scary. I'm going to leave him out, though. I've got a little bit of a plus in my column, though, on leaving him out with the wacky workout this week. That may have taken something out of him. I mean, good horses work fast, but that was a pretty fast workout only a few days before the race. But again, I do find him scary. So what I'm left with, my top 4, I have Any Given Saturday on top, Street Sense second, Cowtown Cat third, and Zanjero, who I think could be a nice value play in here. Past couple of years, the value plays I've had, Bluegrass Cat, I had my 4th spot, played him across the board and got some nice value there. Year before that, Giacomo, I had in the 3rd spot, played him across the board. We all know that worked out well. This year, my value play is actually my top pick, Any Given Saturday, but I'm probably going to back that up with a value play on Zanjero because there's been so much talk this past week about Any Given Saturday. I don't know whether he's going to be kind of the value I was looking for beforehand. I think he's getting a lot of buzz this week, understandably, because he, as Kyle said, he does have the nice 3 races as a 2-year-old, 3 races as a 3-year-old, and he comes in off a similar pattern that Pletcher has used before. Sam F. Davis, he won. 2nd in the Tampa Bay Derby, a 3rd in the Wood Memorial. Well, that's very similar to what Bluegrass Cat did last year when he finished 2nd at 30-1. That's also similar to what Limehouse did in 2004 when he finished 4th at 40-1. So I like when trainers come back with a pattern that has worked for them in the past. Any Given Saturday, very well bred, distorted humor on top. Of course, that's the Syrah Funny Side. Syrah Flower Alley, who won at 1.25 miles in the Travers. The Dam has also produced a stakes winner, Bohemian Lady, who was a nice stakes winner last year, year before for Todd Pletcher. The Dam is a half-sibling to 2nd of June, who was the nice horse that had the ding-dong battle in the Fountain of Youth a couple of years back. So there's some nice breeding there. I think it all adds up, so I'm going to put Any Given Saturday on top. Obviously, I was very disappointed yesterday with the way things fell in the post position draw, but I think you can take a little solace there in that the fact that Stormello is right inside. I think Stormello will be sent out of the gate. That may give Garrett Gomez a little bit, some more options, maybe with a little bit of an opening there on the inside of them as they head down the front stretch. Below that, I've already talked about Street Sense, who I just think he's also getting a good word down there from people who have been watching the workouts. I know Steve Haskin of the Blood Horse follows the workouts year in and year out, so I like that in that he has some historical context, and he said Street Sense just looks great and has looked great for the past week or so. Going to throw in Cowtown Cat. I like all of Fletcher's horses in here, and in fact, for my wagering strategy, I'm going to do something I wouldn't do anytime during the rest of the year, but I'm going to have a 6-horse exacta box with all of the Pletcher horses and Zanjero. For $1, you can do that for $30. And you look at last year when the favorite won and a Pletcher horse came in second at 30-1. That was an exacta up in the neighborhood, a little less than $600. So that was with the favorite on top. Now, granted, Barbero was 6-1, but I don't think you're going to get a short-priced favorite in this field either. So as I say, I'm going to throw those Pletcher horses in with Zanjero, try to get some value in the exacta. Fourth spot, I do have Zanjero. I've been following this horse since last year. I like the nice progression of the Beyer figures last year in his starts. He came back, he improved on those Beyer figures, improved from start 1 to start 2. I thought he was set up for even a more improvement in the Bluegrass. That was just such a wacky race, though, that maybe we'll see the improvement here in the Derby. I think he's going to have to step it up a little bit, but the way he's progressing, I think he can, and I think on Zanjero, you are going to get some real value.
Well,